Hi everyone, this is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest today is Jane Archer. Jane is an award-winning cruise journalist, and she lives in the UK and writes for lots of different magazines, but also including the Daily Telegraph in the UK. And I'm so glad to have you here today, Jane. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You know, I'm really happy to talk with you because I know nothing about cruises. I'm one of these people that says, I'm not a cruise kind of person, but I did go on one and I loved it. So now I'm interested.
The interesting thing is I don't know what a cruise kind of person is because there are so many different cruises out there that there is no such thing as a cruise person. So hopefully that might come out through our conversations.
Yes.
And I'll maybe give you a bit of a flavour of the fact that there is no such thing. A cruise suits everybody. You just got to find the right one.
Okay, that is actually a very good start. And I think the question that I was going to lead with goes right into that, which is a lot of women in our 60ME community say they love to cruise, and we'll find out what kind of cruiser they are, but they don't know where to start. There's an abundance of data, and when you Google, cruises, you're swimming in an ocean of information. So
no cliches there, then.
no pun intended. But the thing is, pun was intended. But here is the thing: how do you find out what are the good cruises, and how do cruises get rated? We have TripAdvisor, for travel and hotels. Where would we go for ratings of cruises?
It's to be honest, it's really difficult. There are so many reviews out there online, and you can read one, and you can read another one on the same ship, and it will be completely different. It's the same as on TripAdvisor with hotels, so it is very, very difficult. There is a guide called the Berlitz Guide, but it is very, very detailed, and I doubt most people would want to sit and read through the whole thing just to get some kind of a clue as to which ship is going to suit them. So, I reckon that the best thing you can always do is just sort out in your own mind what it is you're actually going to want from that cruise. Going to the destination, that's a key thing. Where do you want to go? And there are so many destinations around the world, so you need to get that sorted out first of all. Then obviously you've got to think about the price. Prices differ so much depending on obviously where you're going. For us in the UK, if you're going to be flying to, let's say, to the States, it's going to be more expensive than going to the Mediterranean and so on. So you need to work out things like that. You want to work out what you want to have included in that price, how much you actually want within there, or what you're willing to spend when you're out, how much freedom you want. And once you've narrowed that down, I think you can go online and you can start to find the ships and the cruises that will suit what you want. And doing it like that, it's just going to save. There are so many ships out there, and so many levels from 3-star up to 6-star. And if you try to sift through all of them, you just go mad, and you never get on your holiday, basically. So you just need to decide in your own mind what it is you want, narrow it down, and start from there.
Okay, so I know that there are some sites like Cruise Critic and other ones that do make it their business, though, to actually do some of that preliminary work for you. Would you recommend any of those, or?
Absolutely. It's always worth going on into those and having a look. But there is so much material out there, so I say it again. Know first of all what it is that you're wanting, so that, for instance, if your budget is high, start at the top. Start looking at a 5-star or a 6-star. Don't start looking at the bottom, because you're just going to spend so much time. But absolutely, it is really, really good. Use all the resources that are out there. That they are there. They all give you a guide. Don't rely on them 100%. Everybody has their own opinion about what's good and what's bad. Try to read between the lines. That's the main thing, isn't it? Go in, see what somebody has thought. Try and read what they're actually saying in there, and see that it's something that really will suit you.
Social media can be our friend. It can give us an abundance of information, but it can also overwhelm. But I think you're right to say that you need to know first where you want to go and what your budget is. Maybe those are the two basic things.
Two key things, yes.
Yeah, and I guess there's a universal law, which is you kind of get what you pay for.
Absolutely, and that is important. It really, it's no point in looking at something which is, let's say, way out of your reach and saying, well, that's actually what I want to do, and then finding you can't afford it. But it's also very, very important to bear in mind that what you're going to pay to go on that ship, unless it is all inclusive, is not going to be the final cost of the holiday.
Right.
So you also need to understand what is included. Do the homework as far as that is concerned, because that's one of the areas I find most people trip up on. They think that all cruises are all inclusive, and that is not true. That there are some cruises out there which are very inclusive, and some which are less inclusive,
Right.
and you need to sift through that so that you make sure what you have paid to get on and what you're going to pay to get off
Right.
are going to be what you actually want to come into your budget. All the cruises, bar one that I can think of, they include full board.
Right.
So breakfast, lunch, dinner is included in the price.
Right.
And in between times, you can have probably, you'll have snacks in the morning and you'll have afternoon tea. And these are all included in the price, but in the main dining room. So
Right.
if you
Right.
want to go into one of the speciality restaurants, as they call them, and that might be serving, for instance, Italian food or Asian
Specialty,
food or
yeah.
French or
Yeah.
whatever, they focus on a particular genre of food, if you like. You will mostly pay extra for that, unless, I'll tell you, this gets very complicated, unless you are traveling with one or two of the really top-rated cruise lines, and then they include that within the price.
Right. And I
So
suppose
next-
drinks are going to be something that some
Absolutely, I
might
was gonna say,
include
then
and others won't. Yeah.
the next thing that you will have to pay for are drinks, and generally no drinks are included in the price, and that includes bottled water,
Right.
soft drinks, alcoholic drinks. They are all going to be extras, unless you go with one of the all-inclusive 6-star companies, in which case most drinks are included in the price, including champagne on tap. So you just have to put your hand out, and along
And
comes
it's
a
full.
bottle of fizz.
Yeah.
It's fantastic like that. And then the final thing that you need to be aware of, and there are lots of other bits and pieces, but the other big thing that you need to be aware of is gratuities. And
Right.
again, on most cruise ships, you are expected at the end to leave gratuities. When I say leave, actually they are deducted most of the time now, and they are put onto your account every day. So at the end of the cruise, you may have paid, for instance, $70 or whatever the daily charge might be. Now you can ask for it to be reduced. You can ask for it to be taken off. It's not really a very nice thing to do, because obviously you're leaving a tip for the people who have been working hard for your holiday.
Right. Exactly.
So most of the time you will expect to have to pay that. But of course there is an exception, and yes, it is the 6-star ships, and they include the gratuities in the price. And there are also one or two other ones that also include gratuities. So it is a bit of a minefield, and that's why I say it does need some research. I mean, everybody does everything just a little bit different, and it can get very confusing.
Would you say it's a good idea to work with a travel agent when you're booking a cruise? Because it
Yeah.
seems like when we're online, we tend to have this tendency just to order and book online. But if you have someone that you can actually ask, what does that mean for all inclusive with this cruise line? They can perhaps give you a bit more insight.
They can give you much more of a steer, which is a good idea. I mean, I would recommend always if you're going to go to an agent, go to a specialist cruise agent, because they know so many of the brands. They go on the ships a lot of the time. They've experienced them firsthand, so they do know what they are talking about. So it's a really good place to start, and especially if you've never cruised, they can give you a very, very good steer. If you find the ship and the cruise and the destinations and everything about it that suits you, then you have found a cruise that is good value for money. But supposing I get on a big ship and I do a 7-night cruise, and it's cost me, let's pluck a figure out of the air, it's cost me £600. But I get off that ship at the end of my week, and I haven't really enjoyed it because I have had to pay for lots of things that I didn't want to have to pay for.
Yes.
It's not been very good value for money.
Yeah.
If I got on a smaller ship, which actually cost more, let's say it cost £1,500, but it met all of my requirements. So I could go and have my dining without paying extra. I could have my champagne without paying
Right.
extra. I didn't have to worry about what tip I'm going to leave or whether I should be tipping other people and this, that, and the other.
Yes, right.
Then it has been good value for money. So it's up to individuals whether something is going to be good value for money. You can't just base it on whether it's a big ship or a small ship.
Okay. No, actually, Jane, you've answered my questions, and you really have got to that. We've got back to the point that where we started, which was how do you rate cruise ships? And I think that the reason it's difficult is because, as you've said, there's not a consistent standard of what's included in that price. And I think that's the message, I guess, to the women and men that are watching is, be careful about exactly what you want, and then go and find that cruise ship that appears to have everything, and then ask all the questions. Are you sure it includes this? And drinks, gratuities, and so on.
I mean that's
Fun.
really it in a nutshell because there is no such thing. I mean, you can rate them. I for my own convenience, I have a rating for the ships just because it helps me to categorize them. But at the end of the day, it's meaningless if it's not what you actually want.
Okay. Well, and you are the voice of experience. You've been cruising now for what, 15 years, and you've got
Yes,
150 days a year that you cruise on rivers and
something like that.
oceans.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't know how you do it, but that's fabulous. So we take your judgment and your guidance, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here, Jane.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.